Hello beautiful people, my name is Venti and today I'm here to tell you my top 5 favorite reasons why I think you should read Once and Future by Corey McCarthy and Amy Rose Capetta and its very quickly upcoming sequel, Sword in the Stars. Now I could tell you things like this is an incredibly compulsively readable duology which will be complete with A Sword in the Stars, and that A Sword in the Stars is still available for pre-order until it comes out on April the 7th, so super soon. And therefore that if you pre-order you'll be able to read the story in its entirety, which I think is the best way to consume it. Plus if you pre-order Sword in the Stars you get this gorgeous pre-order incentive pin, which I'll cut in somewhere here to show you. But none of those reasons really get into the heart and soul and content of these books, and that's what I really want to bring you guys today to convince you to pick them up, because I really do think they're wonderful stories. The first reason I think you should pick these books up is because of the found family trope, one of BookTube's absolute favorites. By now I'm already sure that you've heard the tagline for Once and Future. It is a gender-bent, queer King Arthur retelling set in space, which is just phenomenal. But I don't think that brings across how intrinsic and necessary the found family dynamic is to this story. We follow our 42nd incarnation of King Arthur, a girl named Ari, who lives in a spaceship with her brother, and as she gets up to her King Arthur-esque shenanigans with an aging backwards teen Merlin, she and her friends from all across the galaxy come together and form their own version of the Round Table, and gosh, I just love absolutely every single one of them. They are dramatic and dynamic and messy, and they don't always get along, but they always have a through line of love for one another and with one another, and I just think it's a beautiful dynamic to read about. And that brings me to reason number 2, that this duology features an incredibly and effortlessly diverse cast of characters. The gays really win space in this series, y'all, and I couldn't be more thrilled about it. Amy Rose and Corey tackle the idea that, oh, historical accuracy is full of straight white folks, and tell it to absolutely shove it. Once and Future is populated with people from a variety of different ethnicities, sexualities, gender expressions, genders, and anything else you can think of. And there truly is a character for everyone in this cast. No matter what your preferences for characters are like, you're gonna find somebody that connects with you. My personal favorite is Queen Guinevere, but if you like tall, muscly lesbians with swords and impulse problems, you're gonna love Arlie. If you love nerdy, anxious teen boys who are just way too smart for their own good, but still super clumsy and very endearing, you're gonna love Merlin. And if your preferences fall somewhere in between or somewhere completely away from that spectrum, there's still a character for you, and I just think that's really rad. The third reason I think you should pick up this series is because it is just an emotional whirlwind. In turns, this series is hopeful or suspenseful or heartbreaking or absolutely upliftingly beautiful, and every single scene is just a 1-2 punch of just absolute emotional catharsis, which makes it incredibly quick to read and incredibly fun to read. I feel like Once and Future and Sword in the Stars are both really self-aware books. They're not pretending to be these, oh, high, stuffy pieces of literature. They're just really fun, and it never puts fun and enjoyment and happiness on the back seat to push an agenda, though at the same time it still manages to be incredibly pro-immigrant, anti-massive mega corporation, anti-racist, anti-misogynist, anti-homophobic, anti-transphobic, and I just think it's really cool that a story can be both all of those things and super fun and uplifting and happy to read about. It just makes my queer heart very happy to have a book that centers queerness so much and not have it be a struggle book. But even if that in particular is not something you're looking for, I think you'll still have fun with this. It's sci-fi fun in the vein of like Star Wars. It's just a huge intergalactic romp, and I'm definitely here for it, and I think you guys should be too. The fourth reason I think you should pick this up is Arthurian legend. Very specifically, both the similarities it has to the traditional Arthurian legend and the absolute differences and divergences that Corey and Amy Rose have made in this duology. The result is a story that feels both familiar and absolutely brand new at the same time. The similarities to the story keep it feeling like a warm blanket that you can wrap yourself up in. It's very comforting. It doesn't tax your brain over much to keep track of all these new names and worlds and species, which can be a bit of a difficulty for some people with entering sci-fi or fantasy books. So you still have that that tether of cultural understanding that I think that the King Arthur legend has for us in the Western world. But at the same time, all of the story beats are fresh and there's new unique twists and takes because of all of the differences that they've made and all of the changes and addendums to the original canon that they have come up with. And I just think that's really cool. And the fifth and final reason why I think you guys, well, far from final. And the fifth reason, and the final one I'm going to be covering in this video, otherwise it's going to be hours long, is the sci-fi world. Y'all, King Arthur in space. It's part of the tagline, and it's a part that I can't stress enough is what makes it so cool as a story. There are so many sci-fi tropes that help with bringing the King Arthur legend into modernity and giving it these interesting twists. Then there's also like the destruction of megacorporations and spaceships and spaceship battles and moons that are like theme parks. And if that's not the raddest thing you've heard today, I don't know what is. It's so fun and out of this world. And I really think that you should experience the world and the characters that live in it. By bringing us into this new, interesting, fun world, Amy Rose and Corey lead us and sort of force us to take stock of the world we're living in now, see how it could so easily become the terrible, problematic elements of this world that they create at the start of Once and Future, and also lead us to believe in the hope and the tenacity of the human race and show us that we could make it better. Ultimately, this is a super hopeful, wonderful book full of an amazing, incredible cast of characters that'll just tug at your heartstrings, set on a backdrop that's just really rad. Spaceships, giant lizards that you can ride. I mean, I'm gonna stop, but suffice it to say, the sci-fi elements of this story are part of what kept me absolutely hooked from page 1 to the end at the end. And there you have it, friends. Those are my top 5 reasons why I think you guys should read Once and Future and pre-order so you can read very quickly Sword in the Stars by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. As I said, Sword in the Stars will be out this April 7th, so just about a week from now. So make sure to get your pre-orders in while you still can to get that gorgeous pin and so that you can have the book delivered to you right away and read the two together back to back because that's really the best way to consume this story. I'll leave some pre-order links below so that you can get your pre-orders in, or you might want to visit your local indie bookstore's website and see if they're doing deliveries still. It's super, super important to support your local businesses, especially right now. And honestly, I mean, being anti-mega corporation is kind of what the story is all about. So it feels thematically right to pre-order from your favorite local indies. I know that's definitely what I did, and that actually allowed me to meet Amy Rose and Corey at the launch of Once and Future, and they're just the sweetest people in the whole wide world. So if you want to support some incredible authors, go do it, go forth. And if you don't have the funds to pre-order, that's absolutely okay too, but I would super appreciate it if you would contact your libraries and ask them to order a copy so that you can read it at some point, and so can other people in your community. This is an incredible story that I think should be spread far and wide, and it doesn't get nearly as much hype as I believe it deserves. So I hope to see you guys with your own copies or your library copies of Sword in the Stars come this April 7th. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up. And if you like me, maybe consider subscribing to my channel. I post bookish content every weekend, more or less, and I would love to have you become part of my little bookish family. Comment down below what your favorite version of the Arthurian legend is, or leave me a little purple heart if you ended up pre-ordering Sword in the Stars so that I know who's in my personal Knights of the Rainbow Roundtable. And I will have a little chat with you in the comments, but until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time with a new video very soon. Goodbye. Pre-order, Sword in the Stars. Pre-order Sword in the Stars. Do it. Girls make better kings.